Hi everyone, Nico's dad here. Today I wanted to create a video on the feeding process. For my wife and I, this was like super overwhelming on like really what to know and like what is nice to know versus what's essential. So that's where we start here today. So to caveat, we are doing formula that just works best for us. And two things about the bottles that I wasn't aware of that I think is super helpful is one, on the nipple itself, it will have an N for newborn, one, two, or three. And essentially, what that represents is N is like the smallest nipple size, so that way there isn't a ton of milk that's coming out. When we use these bottles, we didn't even know, so we had the two on there, and there was too much milk coming out. So be aware of that. You definitely want to get an N or a one. And the second thing is with the Philips Avent bottles, they have this like kind of valve or stopper. I wasn't really sure what that's for, but essentially what you want to do is if the valve is on this side, you want to feed baby like this. And on the opposite side, there's a little funnel that slows the flow of milk. That way, again, they're not being overfed. So those are two important pieces to call out. Just in regards to just the feeding process and what's worked best for us is prep as much as you can. What I mean by that is, as you can see, we have 4 bottles ready to go. So what we'll do is we'll have them cleaned. Once they're clean, we'll load them up with the proper amount of formula, put them in the fridge, and then when he's ready to go, get him warmed up and then feed him. What we were doing prior to that is we would just pour the milk in, warm it up, and then it just took longer. So it's just nice to have bottles in the fridge ready to go, warm it, and then he's good. Because what you'll find is as soon as your baby's hungry, they're crying, they're screaming, and it can be stressful. So just taking that step to prep in advance has been a game changer for us. Another thing that I'd like to just recognize is that the bottle washer, if you don't have one, they're a lifesaver and they save you so much time. Of course, you can hand wash them, but it's just easier if you have one. And Baby List and any any site that you go to, Amazon, they have a lot of good ones. So this has been super helpful for us. Trying to think of other things to call out. Those are the key items, and what we'll do now is we'll transition to the feeding process and just kind of show you how we feed them and just things to be aware of. Now that we've talked about the setup and prep and just kind of some insights on the feedings, I wanted to just kind of demonstrate, the feedings as well as, some things to be aware of. So the first thing is you want to make sure that your baby's seated upright, maybe not at a 90-degree angle, but upright enough to where like the milk is going down, like maybe at a 70-degree angle. Because if you have them like laying flat, it's easy for them to choke, and it's also more prone for spit up. Another thing is with the bottle, you don't want to be like directly like vertical like this with it. You want to be relatively horizontal with it, where the nipple has, not entirely filled with milk, but maybe halfway. And I think that's called pacing. So that way he's not taking down an absorbent amount of milk. Another thing that we've noticed that with him when he's hungry around like every 3 hours he's doing what's called rooting, which is he's kind of like moving his head around. He's making like a sucking noise. And that's really indications that he's like looking for the bottle. So if you're seeing that and your baby's super upset, that's definitely a sign that they're hungry. Um, Another thing to just keep in mind is he takes about 4 ounces, and we try to burp him every, 2 to 3 times per feed, just to make sure that he's not taking too much at once. And what we'll do, I think he's a little bit more than halfway here. Let's see if we can get a burp for you. So what I'll do is clean him up a little bit. I like to set him up like this. Put his kind of Hey, it's okay. Let's try and get a burp. Hey, let's try and get a bird. Okay, okay. Okay, it's okay. It's okay. So him crying is just he's super hungry right now. And I don't know if you guys heard that or not, but his cry when it sounds like nah, that is also one of the signs that he's hungry. So babies have different cries for different cues like discomfort, hunger, if they're tired. And what we found is that when he makes that nah sound, that means he's hungry. There's actually, I think Oprah had like a show with like a baby doctor or pediatrician on there, and they talked about this. And I can link that video in the description. But there are different cries for what babies communicate. So I hope this is helpful in just like demonstrating the feeding process and a few things to keep in mind. So um, yeah, that's about it. So this is Nika's dad, and thank you guys for watching.